Oh, Nikon, how I love you. But let's be real. When someone mentions Nikon, shooting video is not the first thing that pops into their head. But I'm here to tell you today why I think that the Nikon Z6 is an excellent choice for shooting video. So let's get right into it. What's going on, everyone? Jeremy Gray here, and in today's video I want to talk about why I think the Nikon Z6 is super underappreciated as a video camera. Alright, so there's no questioning that Nikon is a very reputable company, especially when it comes to photographic cameras. Nikon's amazing for shooting stills, but up until recently they weren't really great for video at all. But with the mirrorless system, the Z6, the Z50, they are fantastic video cameras, and a lot of people have a lot of bad things to say, but I'm here today to kind of ramble and rant and debunk some of those false theories and let you know why I think the Nikon Z6 is a fantastic choice for shooting video. So we're specifically going to be talking about the Nikon Z6 today, and I'm going to start off by going over a list of pros and cons for the camera's video specs, and I'm going to tackle the most obnoxious and annoying one first, and that is the autofocus system. It is the thing that people give Nikon the most flack for. So there have been plenty of tests done between Nikon, Canon, and Sony, tons of comparisons, and listen, Nikon is not the fastest when it comes to autofocus with eye detect or face detect. It's just a fact. It's a technological, scientific fact, but I'm going to tell you why that doesn't really matter. And now I'm well aware the Nikon Z6's autofocus system is not perfect, but I really don't have any issues with it. This video is being shot on a Nikon Z6, and I've rarely have autofocus problems. My biggest obstacle with the autofocus on the Z6 is typically with an object that's not a person. Sometimes it'll lose the focus and it'll be a little hard to pick it up, but when it comes to face detect and eye detect, as long as you're relatively closer to the camera and not super duper far away, it can grab you really fast. Now when you're shooting with the Z6, you'll see there's the yellow box around my face. That is tracking my focus. It does a really good job. Even if I turn around, it's gonna catch me pretty quick, and it focuses really quickly. If I walk away and then come back, sometimes it might lose and get a little jumpy, but overall it performs really well. And when you're shooting content like YouTube content, you're probably not gonna encounter that many problems with the autofocus. Let's say I understand there is a time and place where this autofocus might not be great for some people, such as wildlife photography, sports photography, stuff like that. Maybe yes, you do need to snap your autofocus, but as far as shooting YouTube content and videos for yourself and a project, it's gonna do really well. And a lot of people switch to manual focus for certain types of shots anyway. So I don't know why autofocus is always such a huge topic of conversation when it comes to the Nikon cameras. Yes, it's not as fast as Sony and Canon, but you know what? It's really good, and autofocus wasn't this good 5-10 years ago, so what were people doing then? People are really spoiled nowadays with autofocus systems is kind of what I'm realizing, and half of them haven't even used the Nikon. With the new firmware 3.1, it is fantastic. Another good thing is that this camera shoots 4K 24 frames per second uncropped. To me, that is an awesome feature because a camera that competes with this camera, such as the Canon EOS R, crops the 4K. It cripbles it. And you know what? The EOS R body is more expensive than the Z6 body, but yet it cripples the 4K. Now, I'm not saying 4K is super important. 99% of my content is shot in 1080. I very rarely switch to 4K, only if I know I'm going to zoom in on something. But I do like having the option there. It makes this camera a little more future-proof just for a couple years. I know a lot of the cameras coming out now have like 8K, but that doesn't really interest me. I don't need that for YouTube. So another great perk of this camera is that it offers 120 frames per second in Full HD 1080p. I think that's a really cool feature to have. You really can get some nice slow motion action with 120 frames per second. And again, 1080 doesn't bother me. I don't need 120 FPS in 4K. I don't see a purpose for that for me personally. So I'm throwing up some quick clips on the screen, shot in 120 FPS. And look how buttery smooth that is. It looks so nice in my opinion. I really do like the way that 120 frames per second looks. So I'm really happy to have that option on this camera. So something that I do miss sometimes on my Z6 that it doesn't offer is that flip out screen, like my M50 has and a lot of other cameras on the market. Now I did find a really cheap solution through one of Brandon Lee's videos. If you don't know Brandon Lee, please go check him out. Phenomenal filmmaker. But it's by a company called Urig, and essentially I'll show you right now. It's a little mirror that mounts to the hot shoe on your camera, and when you flip out your screen like that, like at a 90-degree angle, you could see it. I don't know how well you could see it, but you could see yourself in the mirror. And it has cold shoe mounts on each side. So I mounted my Rode Video Micro on there. And now, when I'm filming myself, I can see in the mirror that I'm in focus. I can see the yellow square on my face, and I can also see the exposure and the colors really, really well. So it's really super useful when I'm filming myself, and it only costs about $15 USD. Something else people love to complain about the Nikon Z6 is that it has a single card slot, and it's not even SD, it's a QXD or a CF Express card, and you know what, that doesn't bother me. If I'm shooting YouTube content, I don't need 2 card slots, I only need 1, because chances are the card's not gonna fail, and I don't need to worry about backing up footage. I've never once thought about backing up footage when shooting for YouTube while I'm shooting, only after when I'm putting it on a hard drive. And yes, I, like many other people, have probably 30 plus SD cards lying around, so yes, buying a very expensive CF Express card was a little annoying, but you know what, they're super high quality cards that are really, really rugged. They can withstand the elements, and it's just gonna take you a lot further than an SD will. There's a very, very minimal chance of these cards failing, so the 1 card slot with the CF Express does not bother me for what I use this camera for specifically. And again, if you're someone who needs 2 card slots, if you're a wedding shooter, then I totally get it. That's totally fine, and I understand why you'd be annoyed that there's not 2 card slots. Alright, let's talk IBIS. This camera has phenomenal IBIS, and if you don't know what that means, it means in-body image stabilization. So when you're shooting shots handheld, it'll smooth it out. Now don't get me wrong, this is not going to give you gimbal-like results, but as long as you're steady and you're careful, you can get very, very smooth footage using this method. And something else that a lot of people don't think about is that IBIS also applies to when you're shooting stills. So you can go down to like 1/8 of a second, and if you hold it really still, the IBIS compensates for a lot of movement, and you can get a pretty decently sharp shot even when it's darker out and you're shooting at those longer shutter speeds. A lot of people only apply the IBIS to video, but think about it for the photos because it's really, really helpful, and it's really fun to play with too if you're trying to shoot in low light conditions. So right now I'm going to throw up some sample shots on the screen to show you how well the IBIS can work shooting handheld. I'll do some moving and some stagnant as well. Nikon's colors, one of the reasons that I love this company so much. Nikon does an amazing job at rendering their colors. I love the image that comes out of the camera. Lately, my last few videos, I have been shooting on a flat profile, which I'm shooting on right now. Now let me take the color grading off really quick. All right, so now you can see this is what the flat image looks like. No color correction at all, right out of the camera. It looks decent, but of course it doesn't have that oomph and that punch. So next, let me throw on the standard color profile so you can kind of see the difference. And I won't tweak this either. This will be straight out of camera, standard Nikon color profile. So the Nikon Z6 does offer N-Log 10-bit 422. And that is an amazing color profile to use. It's going to give you a ton of data, a ton of information, amazing dynamic range. The only con to that is that you need an external recorder to capture it, something like the Atomos Ninja 5. And unfortunately, I don't have the Atomos Ninja 5 to show you an example of what that footage might look like, but I personally don't need it. But again, I think it's really nice that Nikon gave that feature and that option, so if somebody does need that color profile and that 10-bit 422 for their project or their film, it is available as long as they have an external recorder, but I can see why that would also be a deterrent for somebody to not get this camera. But again, I don't need that for my YouTube content. I'm just glad that there is that option in case I need it in the future for some other kind of project. So I'm gonna say what I say in most of my reviews, most of my videos, really think about what you need as a content creator. Because personally, I don't need the absolute fastest autofocus in the world. I don't need that raw N-Log 10-bit 422. I need exactly what the Z6 offers me, and it even has more than I need, like the 4K 24 frames per second. Even the 120 at 1080, I don't typically need, but I'm really glad I have it. I've been shooting with the Nikon Z6 for the last few months for my YouTube channel, and I remember when I switched over to this for videos like this, that pretty much immediately people were commenting and asking me, what camera are you shooting with? What lens is that? It looks different than your normal videos look. So I know there's a much higher difference in quality from this to the Canon M50, but this is not a comparison video between these two cameras. I'm just saying this camera produces a beautiful, beautiful image. So I do hope this video helps somebody out, and I do hope you realize that Nikon is doing a really good job with their video, and I do think that they're only gonna get better and better from here on out. If this did help you, please drop a thumbs up. If you have any further questions about the Nikon Z6, drop a comment down below. I will get back to you. Subscribe for more content, and if you want to check out any of the gear that I use to make my YouTube videos, like the Z6 or the lens that I'm using, then go on in the description. There's Amazon affiliate links there. If you click them, they bring you over to Amazon. If you buy anything, I get a small commission at no extra charge to you. Just helps the channel keep growing. I hit 1,000 subscribers yesterday. That is mind-boggling. Thank you all so much. I'm gonna make a thank you video soon, probably this week. I just want to say thank you here, and if you made it this far in the video, comment tacos. I will see you all in the next one. Let's keep going. Bye.